It's exactly 10 a.m., and the district judge court is just absolutely packed to the brim. I mean, you can literally feel that heavy, suffocating kind of anticipation in the air. Today is the big day. It's verdict day for the highly publicized murder of wealthy industrialist Richard Hayes. After 6 grueling months of investigation, the public, the press, the legal teams, literally everyone thinks this is the final chapter. The judge calls for the accused, Jacob Turner, to stand up, and the entire courtroom just falls completely dead silent.
And then, looking up with this incredibly unsettling calmness, Jacob Turner delivers a statement that just sends an absolute shockwave right to the room. He says, "Yes, I killed Richard Hayes." And it gets crazier. When the judge asks if he's making this confession voluntarily, Jacob just replies, "Yes." There is absolutely zero hesitation in his voice. No denial. No begging for mercy. A muffled murmur kind of ripples through the gallery. Now, in any normal situation, a confession this clear, this unambiguous, well, it means the case is closed right there on the spot. But as we're going to see in this explainer, the truth is rarely that simple.
Okay, let's dive into this, because right here is where the entire narrative completely fractures. Just as the trial seems all but over, the court records officer Kevin Brooks starts meticulously counting out the physical case documents on his table. He checks the official exhibit list, and it clearly states that there are exactly 13 pieces of physical evidence submitted for this trial, so he starts to physically count them out.
1, 2, 3, all the way to 12. He stops. He recounts them. Still 12. The official list says 13, but there are only 12 items sitting on that table. File number 13 is missing. The second Brooks realizes this, he immediately alerts the judge, and the court is suddenly, unexpectedly adjourned. They launch this frantic search of the court's archives, and here is the kicker. The official record shows the lead investigating officer submitted the file, but glaringly, there is absolutely no signature confirming the court actually received it.
When we actually map out the timeline, this whole thing builds into something far more sinister. The police immediately pulled a CCTV footage from the court storeroom, and what they find is super suspicious. Get this, the night before the verdict, an officer is recorded walking into the highly secure records room. He's inside for exactly 6 minutes. When he walks out, his hands are completely empty. There's no file visible at all. Yet, the very next morning, file 13 is officially gone. A 6-minute window. That is literally all it took for the most critical piece of evidence to just vanish into thin air.
So, with the physical paper file gone, the investigation frantically pivots over to the digital backups. But when they ask the chief investigating officer what exactly was inside file 13, his response is, well, chillingly evasive. He claims he just can't remember. But his voice lacks any real confidence. The investigators know right then they can't rely on him. They need those scanned copies. I mean, after all, in modern courts, paper is kind of just a formality, right? The digital server is the real vault. Every single piece of evidence was supposed to be digitized.
But when the tech team pulls up the digital archive, the sheer level of calculation here becomes terrifyingly clear. They find the first 12 files perfectly intact, no problem. But when they click on file 13, boom, it's just a blank page. The digital scan has been completely wiped. And man, that realization hits the team like a ton of bricks. Whoever did this didn't just walk off with a stack of papers. No, they systematically destroyed the digital footprint too. They knew exactly how incredibly valuable this specific file was, and they went to some serious lengths to make sure it was erased from existence.
But the perpetrator made one massive, fatal flaw in their digital cover-up. They clearly didn't understand enterprise architecture. They completely forgot about the deepest automated layer of the system. So the forensic lab is brought in, and this brilliant technician starts digging through an archaic, outdated server. And miraculously, they hit an absolute gold mine. They find a deep system backup that the thief completely overlooked. The data for file 13 is retrieved. And I'm telling you, the moment that file is opened on the lab monitors, the entire room goes dead silent.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what someone was trying so hard to hide. Turns out, File 13 was a highly advanced CCTV analysis report from a parking area outside Richard Hayes' office, timestamped at 8:56 p.m. on the very night of the murder. It showed a man quickly exiting the building and getting into a car. Now, initially, investigators just assumed it was Jacob Turner on the tape, but this enhanced analysis, it proved otherwise. Think about the stark contrast here. The suspect on the tape has a completely different height. He has a noticeably different gait when he walks, and honestly, most damning of all, the man in the video is missing a finger on his right hand. Meanwhile, Jacob Turner, sitting right there in the courtroom, has all 10 of his fingers perfectly intact.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. Why? The physical evidence conclusively proves Jacob Turner is not the killer. Yet, earlier that very same morning, he stood up in front of a judge, a crowded courtroom, and all that press, and calmly confessed to a murder he absolutely did not commit, fully knowing it would likely result in the death penalty. So, why on earth did he do it?
Well, Jacob is rushed back into the courtroom, and the judge demands to know why he lied. Jacob stays really quiet for a long time, just looking down, before finally whispering, "Because I wanted to save someone." When the judge asks who, Jacob replies, "My daughter." You see, just 2 days after Richard Hayes was murdered, Jacob's daughter was kidnapped. He received this terrifying video showing her tied up, accompanied by a simple, brutal ultimatum. It basically said, "Confess to the murder or you won't see your daughter alive again." Jacob was completely trapped. The kidnappers were monitoring his every single move. He went to court believing that sacrificing his own life was literally the only mathematical way to guarantee his daughter's survival.
With the real truth finally out in the open, the police mobilize instantly. They go straight back to that recovered File 13. Because that enhanced CCTV footage didn't just show the killer's missing finger, it actually captured a partial license plate on the getaway vehicle. And using that tiny fragment, investigators rapidly tracked down the exact rental car used on the night of the murder. When they pull the name on the rental agreement, it blows the entire case wide open. So the crucial point is how this elaborate master plan actually operated from start to finish. That car? It was rented by Ethan Collins, Richard Hayes' own business partner. The investigation very quickly uncovers the motive here. Collins had committed massive financial fraud, embezzling hundreds of millions of dollars. Hayes actually found the proof and was gearing up to expose him. So to silence Hayes, Collins murdered him. But Collins needed a fall guy, right? So he orchestrated the kidnapping of Jacob's daughter, forcing Jacob into a false confession to cleanly tie up the police investigation, and finally, knowing that parking lot CCTV would expose him, specifically because of his missing finger, he infiltrated the court records to delete File 13.
But Collins vastly underestimated the power of the digital footprint. With the whole truth revealed, police swiftly arrest Ethan Collins. The real killer is finally behind bars. Jacob Turner is immediately exonerated and actually gets to walk out of that court as a free man, finally reunited with his safely recovered daughter. As he exits the courthouse, this huge swarm of journalists surrounds him.
One of those reporters pushes right to the front and asks Jacob an incredibly heavy question. They ask, "Did you know you could have been hanged for this?" Jacob just looks up at the sky, takes a breath, and gives this hauntingly logical answer. He says, "I just made a calculation. If I live, one lives. If I die, one lives. I just didn't want her to die for me." It is just a stunning testament to what a parent will endure when they're forced into a truly impossible corner.
Meanwhile, back inside, just before officially closing the session, the judge delivers a really profound closing statement that I think truly captures the essence of this entire ordeal. He looks out at the remaining crowd in the gallery and says, "The most dangerous thing in any case isn't a false witness. The most dangerous thing is when the truth has disappeared along with a file." And wow, that is a chilling reminder of how fragile our justice system can be when the very systems meant to protect the truth are compromised.
This entire case absolutely proves that erasing a physical document, or even wiping a digital drive, isn't always enough to bury the facts forever. Digital forensics, automated backups, and just pure human intuition all play a huge part in preserving reality. The story of Jacob Turner proves that a digital ghost almost always remains. Which leaves us with one final thought to take away from this explainer today. If every deleted file, every erased record, leaves a trace, what unseen digital footprints are hiding in your history right now?